Hey Jay,
Huh?
you know Overwatch 2 is out?
What? I took my jumper off. Ever since Blizzard announced Overwatch 2 and what they had planned for it, I was interested. But I think everyone, and this includes people that enjoy the game, were a little bit disappointed by this relaunch of the game. And after trying my hardest to enjoy the game as it was, there are some things I need to get off my chest about this. Some things Blizzard have done that are... you'll see. So I guess it's time to ask. Overwatch is a competitive, team-based first-person shooter that focuses on characters, or heroes, that have unique abilities and weapons that allow you to try to win the game. Whether that be trying to capture a point or move a payload, though with Overwatch 2, a lot of it is just following a payload. The entire game is very reminiscent of Team Fortress 2, but given a new coat of paint and a little more polished than that ever was. The level design of Overwatch 1 maps are actually quite well done. When teams are winning, they spawn a fair distance away from where they need to go, so that if that team is wiped or people are killed, it gives the enemy team enough reprieve to be able to prepare for the next attack. Though, when defending, usually the payload or point are quite close to your base, so that you can get back to the point quicker and make it more difficult for the enemy team to win. The differences between Overwatch 1 and 2 are marginal at best. Apart from upscaling everything a little bit and adding 3 new heroes, there isn't a whole lot they've changed. This is honestly one of the most disappointing launches I've seen to a game, and that includes relaunches. Every character has an Overwatch 2 skin, though some of them barely change at all, and they also seem to have forgotten to give Echo an Overwatch 2 skin for whatever reason. As said before, they've added 3 new heroes, as well as some maps and a new game mode, as well as removing the Assault game mode, which was, in my opinion, one of the most beloved game modes in the game. It was at least one of my favorites. The 3 new characters, by the way, are Junker Queen, Sojourn, and Kiriko, respectively, each being a tank, an attack, and a healer. Going back to the Assault game mode being removed, this is probably one of the things that annoyed me the most, because a lot of the maps that I probably had the most fun with were also removed. For anyone who played Overwatch 1 or even saw footage of Overwatch 1, you would have seen these 3 main maps that are now just gone from the game: Hanamura, Anubis, and Volskaya Industries. All gone. I don't know if they have plans to bring them back, but I haven't heard much from the developers on what they're doing with this game, to be honest. And because of Assault mode being gone, they also got rid of Paris, Horizon Launch Colony, and Numbani. One more change they added was the idea to change the times of when certain maps are. Like, a lot of the maps that used to be in daytime in Overwatch 1 are now in nighttime, taking away a lot of the color palette and hue that these maps had, giving them the character they did. They also seemed to change a lot of the nighttime maps to day, making some of the lights and the glows that these maps had that made them beautiful just kind of bland. And because they decided to change the time of day, it seems like they also forgot to bake lighting or something. For people who don't know what that is, baking lighting essentially means that you have a point in the sky that represents the sun in a game engine, and because of that, it interacts with objects and casts shadows. Some of the objects in this game no longer cast shadows. I don't know why, but outside of that, there are a lot of issues with these maps that aren't just to do with shadows and small things like that. It's nearly like they didn't do a test build at all before launching the game. It's just very odd to me. If you want a better rundown on every change they've made, I'll link a card in the top on the video I watched that helped me point out some of these things to you guys. Another change they made that confused me quite a bit was they lowered the player count of each team by 1. Now that may not seem like a huge difference, but the role they removed was a tank from each team, meaning that the one tank you now have in-game is going to be a lot more stressed. So if you're stuck on a team with a tank that refuses to push, there's nothing you can really do. You don't have a second chance. This also puts more pressure on the tank role itself, meaning that if they die, your entire team is going to crumble. That single tank is now the lone decision maker, and as someone who plays tank, that is incredibly difficult. You are now stuck with the idea that as soon as you die, that is your chance of winning gone if you don't have much time left. One other thing that I need to point out is Overwatch 2 has decided to add the bane of my existence, that being a battle pass. So the people watching this, you guys, may be wondering why I hate battle passes, and I don't necessarily. I dislike them when they are implemented in the ways they are. There are still ways that you can implement a battle pass and have it not be like this. But the way the battle passes are implemented, in most games is horrendous. An example as to why this sparked so much anger in me is because of one of the new characters they released, Kiriko, is available in this battle pass. You can either buy it and get her straight away, or you can farm till rank 55. 55? Okay, I understand putting it at maybe 15 or 20, trying to get players to stay around, but 55! 5 and 5. 55! I am not farming until level 55 to get a character that I might not even like, considering that one thing that Blizzard said was that if you owned Overwatch 1 you would get access to all characters. This is ridiculous. What were they thinking? While we're at it, again, I'm not going to spend much time on this because it's something I will probably continue to speak about in the future, but Blizzard's monetization strategy for this game is ridiculous. Their excuse for this monetization strategy is the idea that Overwatch 2 is now free. And here's what I have to say to that. Games like this have had monetization strategies that are far better than this for so much longer than this game has been out. Games like Apex Legends and League of Legends. I mean, shit, even F1 2021 does this better than Overwatch does. All of these games are far better at rewarding players at certain ranks, especially when it comes to battle passes. 2. There is nothing you get for free in this game. Bar an epic skin or two, that is about it. The battle pass is a very lame excuse to try to get people to spend more money on this game than they actually should. One of the reasons that I and a lot of other people enjoyed Overwatch 1 was because of the loot box system they had implemented. Even if you got things that you already owned or didn't like, there was still a chance that you got currency that you could then save up and use for things later down the line that you actually wanted. And now, all of that is gone. Even if you had boxes in Overwatch 1, you don't get the satisfaction of opening them either because they took that away from us as well. 3. It costs $30 to buy a legendary skin. And I know, like the aforementioned League of Legends and Apex Legends do this as well, but you have to remember, there are still ways you can get those for free. That's not a thing in Overwatch 2. The ways that these are available in Apex Legends is it uses the same Overwatch 1 loot box strategy we had talked about before. And in League of Legends, every time you level up, you get a chest that has a chance of having a champion or skin inside of it. Both of these are far better than what this game is doing, and both of them, again, are still free. The Overwatch community is some of the most toxic, but most dedicated people I have ever seen in my life. And I played League of Legends for a long time. Regardless of whether you're doing well or not, you will still have people complain about the way you are playing. Whether you're not healing them enough after they are diving into the enemy team, or if they think you're not doing enough. That's it. That's all it takes. It is insane to me that these people are so deluded that they will play this game 24/7 and not think once that maybe they need to change up their strategy to win the games. I'm not going to get too into this because it is a very large issue that has way too much for me to talk about, but it's one of the main reasons I struggle to continue playing this game as it is. Even in the moments that I feel I'm doing well and I'm keeping everyone alive as a healer, I will still be told by people that I am absolute garbage. And it's usually by people that have either no sense of what they're doing in the game or just make the dumbest decisions possible. In conclusion, this Overwatch 2 is something that makes me wonder what Blizzard actually thought they were planning on doing when they released it. One of the main reasons I feel they launched Overwatch 2 was so that they could relaunch the game and get access to new players, or get people back that didn't want to play the game anymore from Overwatch 1. But my issue with this is they could have just announced a large update and that it was going free, and it would have had the same effect. They didn't need to slap a 2 on it. And just because they have launched this game and have had a spike in players doesn't mean that they will retain all of those players. A large reason as to why people stopped playing Overwatch in the first place was because there was no real sense of progression. And Overwatch has always struggled to make you feel like what you were doing was worthwhile. I feel like the PvE content they said they were going to release would have alleviated this a lot. It was one of the main reasons I returned to this game, because I was hoping to see it, but it's nowhere to be found. And if some of the interviews are to be trusted, then we're gonna have to pay for those too. But adding these 3 new heroes just feels very hollow. A lot of the changes they've made feel like something you throw at a wall because something needs to be new but you don't know what to do. It all feels like they've run out of ideas. Overall, I feel Overwatch 2 is a poor excuse to try to get players back into the game with not enough content to make it worth old players' times. While I will say, if you have not played Overwatch, Overwatch 2 is the perfect stance to get into it and see if you enjoy this type of game. Since it is free, it won't be hurting you anymore, especially it won't be hurting your bank account unless you get addicted. But for people returning, I don't feel like Overwatch 2 has enough to really pull you back in. If you were already getting bored by the way that things were, this added half-assed game mode isn't going to make it any more fun than it already was. If you were already stuck in Overwatch's gameplay loop and you couldn't get out, and you were willing to grind ranks endlessly, then sure, it is worth your time. But for anyone else not suffering from Stockholm Syndrome, until we see some changes, I don't believe Overwatch 2 is worth your time. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe, hit that like. I'm hoping to do this more in the future. Please leave comments if you have any critiques or anything you would like to see in the future. But with all that said and done, I guess I'll catch you guys in the next one.